Your communication skills is one of the most important things that you need to prioritize because it's the foundation of how you interact with people in your everyday life, work, and your relationships. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about advice that you need to know in order to improve your communication. So when you're ready, let's get started. Number one is to stop using filler words. An example is ands, you know those types of words? Yeah. So that's an example of filler words. And honestly, for myself, I am guilty. And whenever I feel the need to say these words, I just take a deep pause, just like what I just did. And the reason why it's very effective is because when you say all these filler words, it's because you don't like silence. That's one thing that I realized for myself. Whenever I feel the need to say all these filler words, it's because I don't want to have the conversation being silent. And whenever I have the need to say a filler word, one thing that I do very commonly is saying and a lot. I'm always saying that. So even in this video, I'm trying my best not to say it. But when you just catch yourself trying to say all these filler words, it gets easier when you start noticing yourself. All you need is that self-awareness. If you know that you're someone who's very comfortable in saying all these filler words, just replace it with a nice silence. And it's only awkward if you think it's awkward. That's how you avoid saying filler words. Number two goes back to what I said previously, and it's okay if you pause when you speak. I used to think it was very awkward whenever there would be a pause, but the thing is, when you pause, it allows you to think clearly of what you're gonna say instead of having the need to always speak. It actually makes you less confident when you continue speaking and you don't want any pauses. Just allow yourself to have a nice pause before you say anything. And the other person who you're talking to, they should be able to understand that, because there is no harm in doing so. And when you have long pauses, it actually gets the person who you're talking to the time to process everything that you're saying. Number three is to listen to the person who you're speaking to. It can be so easy to talk about yourself all the time and make the conversation about yourself. But when you're an active listener, it actually makes the person like you more in the conversation. And as someone who always loves to talk, I always like to have something that goes back to what I'm saying, and it's something that I had to learn the hard way. But when you actually speak to other people and you ask them more questions about themselves, instead of putting the focus on you after they start speaking, it actually shows the person who you're talking to that you care and that this conversation is actually leading somewhere, because you get to listen to this person who you're talking to. And because of that, they get to tell you more about their life, and it makes them happy that you're actually listening. And nowadays, I feel like there are some people who just don't like to listen. They like making the conversations more so about themselves. That's why I believe that a lot of people can be boring, or makes you just want to keep things to yourself. So you're actually doing the other person a big favor when you just listen to them. And when you're talking to the other person, make sure you're putting your full focus on them. Don't think of the next thing that you want to talk about, because it can be really easy to have a question stuck in your head that you want to ask them, but it actually holds you back from listening to what the other person is saying. So hold that thought, what you're thinking about, and just have your full attention on them. And number four is be clear on what you're talking about. Let's say that you're talking about something that you do for work. Maybe there's some terms in your job that other people might not know about. If you're familiar with that term, use easy words that a 5-year-old can understand, or someone in grade 5 can understand. That's what makes it very easy for people to understand you and makes the conversation flow so much better than just trying to appear like you're smarter, even if that might not be the case, but just using easier terms so the conversation goes as smooth as possible. As for myself, I'm someone who loves using easy words. And sometimes when I use ChatGPT, I actually ask it to use easy words when it's trying to explain something that I'm not familiar with. And it just clears up so much space for me to think too hard of what the meaning might be, because you don't want to have any misunderstandings in your conversation. So it's much easier if you could just find a way to use easier language that anyone can understand. instead of using big jargon words unless they are familiar with the topic that you're talking about. Anyways, that's all for today's video on communication advice that you should know. Let me know in the comments if you want a part 2, as I am also on this journey of learning more about communication, and I'd love to bring you along and share with you what I learned. Let me know which one in the comments helped you out as well, and I'll see you in my next video.